So we just watched Black America After MLK Part 2, and it kind of documents in the 70s, sort of like after the 60s civil rights struggle. It talks about integration, the black communities with white communities, and then you had like the shows, the sitcoms, and it just really kind of illustrated the like a lot of opportunities were opening up for black people at that time. But there was also this clash on integration, and it started because legislation was, opening up doors for the black community, but there was still these echoes of like, I mean, I don't even know if it's like echoes. It was like legitimately a racist mentality by white people, and whether it was fear based or what, when black people started moving into white communities, then the white communities would end up just a mass exodus of those neighborhoods, and because they were afraid of their property value going down, and then so it just like created this whole system of like again this system that like is harmful to black communities because the white community has such this huge issue of integration because they believe that black people are going to take something away from white people. And one of the most fascinating things to like, it's fascinating. I mean, like it's horrifying. Is that it seems from what I'm at this point and all of the research that I've done and what I'm learning is that it doesn't seem like there was ever a legitimate attempt at like integrating the black community and like actually like true equality. It's always been this like at every step that like affirmative action, like as soon as that came out, like people like immediately were screaming that it was preferential treatment. And it's like, so it's like the white community has always had this like, oh, you can't take this away from us. And they lost their shit when the black community started like going to white schools because the black schools were like really like basically like terrible. There was no funding. And so then they start busing the kids into the white community schools, and the people lost their shit in like South Boston or something. And it's just, this wasn't even that long ago. It was like the 70s, like this again, it's like the civil rights and the struggle for equality, it's still going on to this day. And it's mind-boggling, and the denial, again, I'm always going back to this point, the denial is what is perpetuating the racist systems. And what I feel like what we need to be happening right now, I thought this before, I'm learning, but like, is we need to just come together and be honest. Like, yeah, there's never been a legit attempt at like making things right and equal and just. Like, I don't know what that looks like, but I know that there's never, like, so far in my research, there has not been a legitimate attempt. But we're in the 70s going into 80s, where hip hop explodes. They talk about Public Enemy, and it's really interesting to hear the culture that was coming out of the projects in the ghetto. And it's just like you cramming the black communities into the ghettos, and then basically like it's like forced economic like slavery in a sense. It's like it's keeping people like chained up in this like system, and it's bonkers, man. Like how you can do any amount of research into black history in America and still say that like things are equal, or that things like are just fixed now, at least, or even acknowledged, is beyond me. So I highly recommend Black America After MLK. It's a 4-part series, and that was my little overview of part 2, which covers like the 70s and 80s. So yeah, and yeah,